Alright, what is up? Today we're going to be going over the parent graphs and their general shapes. So let's get into it. First off, you have your linear function. This can be written as y equals x. Various adjustments can be made to this as well as the rest of the graphs. This is just them in their base form. If you want to see how to adjust them later on, then that's in another video, which I'll link in the description. But basically, how this works is these graphs will all have a general shape that no matter what modifications you make to them, multiplications, additions, subtractions, things like that, they'll all have the same shape. So even if you move this up or make it steeper, it's still going to have this same shape here. Even if you zoom out, the exact same shape. Same with x squared. It'll continue to have the shape arcing closer and closer and closer to the line right here as you zoom out, and it'll still have that same shape no matter how far away you get from it, the origin. Next up, you have your cubic function. Goes down like this and up like this to the right, and all x cubed graphs will have the same shape. Now, it's important to note that any odd or even power after this will have the same as these two. If it's even, it'll have the same look as this. So, for example, put 4 here. It'll look the same, just a little flatter down here and steeper up here. Same as if I put in 6. Just gets closer and closer to the line. If I come down here and put in a 5, same shape, just steeper, exact same. So when you're looking at powers past 3, all you have to do is look at how if this is even or odd. Next, you have the log functions, which are going to be more complicated, and you'll learn them later and their uses, but for now, this is what they look like. If you've seen a cube root of x or a square root of x, they all look very similar to this, which I can show you down here. Same kind of shape, also known as a sleeping parabola, x to the 1/2 or the square root of that. But this log right here basically is, as I'll explain in another video, how many times a certain number can be multiplied into another. This is just a different base. These are the same function. They're just slightly different. Just as how if you multiplied these functions up here, they would look either steeper or less steep. It's that same kind of thing. Now, they are different, but that's just the main thing you need to know. This is what's known as an exponential. You've probably seen these in your algebra classes of exponential growth and decay. It's very helpful for very many things, so this is an important one to know. This right side right here looks a lot like your basic x squared graph, and it is similar, but it gets very much steeper very quickly. As you can see, it gets much higher, and this is only 8 away from the axis. And over here, it's the same as a negative exponent. It'll never fully touch 0. I know this says 0, but it's just an approximation. It never actually touches 0. It gets really, really close, though. So that's the general look of that. 1 over x can also be known as, if you look over here, a reciprocal function. And this is basically the opposite of a lot of different functions, and this won't be just x, you'll have different numbers here, but this is the general shape of them. This right here is what's known as an asymptote because it'll never touch 0 this way. If you go to 0 on your calculator, you'll get undefined. And the same this way. Similar to this 2 to the x, it'll never actually touch 0, just gets really, really close. And over here, if you look, this is what's known as a sinusoidal function or a trigonometric function. And basically, it'll have the same curve all the way to infinity. The cosine graph also looks the same as that. It's just shifted over a little bit. If you put in tan, it gives you this weird cubic-like shape, but you will very rarely actually have to graph tangent. And if you do, you'll probably be given more information about that. As shown earlier, this is the square root function. This is what it would look like if you had it to any power. It can also be written as the 1/2. So if you go here, here, and to the 1/2, you get the same function, 1/4, fifth, third. Now, if you have odd, it'll look like this as well, because you can take a cube root of negative numbers. There's more mathematical explanation of that I could get to in another video if you guys want. But basically, any odd functions will look like this, and any even functions will look like this. Kind of similar to the power rules you had above. And finally, this is the absolute value of x, and so it looks very similar to how you would have a x just y to the x, but instead of going down here, it simply goes right back up on this side. And that's because it's a measure of the distance from this 0 on either side. So 10 is the same distance away on the positive side as negative 10 is from 0, if that makes sense to you guys. So yeah, those are the basic parent graphs that you'll need to know. There's not very many other ones that you'll find that are that significant, but if you do and you want me to go over them, just let me know in the comments.